Hi guys, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Good to see you again on this beautiful Sunday, 1st of May.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We hear you loud and
Yeah,
clear.
loud and
I
clear.
can't hear you guys. I gotta
Let's
fix
see,
this.
we have Ade, good. We have Adam also joining us. Good. So we have a good core. We have 4 people here today. Um, Ade, I don't know if you've met Veta Games. Have you met him?
Hello?
Yeah. Actually, I recognize that. We met one time before.
Ade, we can hear you. Ade, we can hear you.
I think he's gonna probably leave and come back.
Yeah. Okay. Adam, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Good. Good. Good space the other day. I saw you on the space. You had a really good space, an enjoyable space.
Yeah,
Dan,
thank you very much.
Yeah, Adam holds it down, man. Adam's hardcore in those spaces, holding things down. So
yes,
he does a good job.
yeah,
Thank
space,
you.
yeah, thank you. Space is not my thing. I find it interesting. I find it interesting that it's funny how whenever we have rival fans come to our spaces, whenever we have a player like a Holland who may be coming in, at his back here, we have a Holland who may be coming in, or we have an Alvarez who may be coming in. I find it interesting that all these rivals want to look at the negative side of things as opposed to saying, okay, this player could actually add this to your team. This player could actually do this for your team. They all, like the guy who said that Holland will become a tapping merchant.
Right.
And I flipped the script. I said, well, that's exactly what we need, right? We need a tap-in merchant, right?
Exactly.
City's greatest weakness, right? And I asked the question, what's our greatest weakness? Our greatest weakness is conversion rate.
Yeah.
Right? We create so many chances, but Foden, so Sterling or Mahrez or Jesus, maybe not recently, don't take those chances. So if we have someone who's a tap-in merchant and he gives us 40 goals a year, I'll take that.
100%. 100%. If the opportunities that are being made, if everything that's being served up on a plate ready for the taking gets finished off and are easy scores, and it's labeled a merchant, a tap-in merchant, I'm okay with that as well. And the striker would be happy with that as well, seeing their goal tally going up and up and up.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get to the show in a minute. Well, people don't realize that in order to be a tap-in merchant, you have to have good intelligence to know where to be. You can't be a tap-in merchant if you don't know the movement of your players and your teammates and where to be to expect the ball to come in. So it's the reason why we were so dynamic in 17-18 and we had a lot of tappings because Sane, Sterling, and Aguero knew exactly where to be at any point in time. So, yeah. All right, so let's start the show. We'll talk about real quick, 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes of talking about the Leeds versus City review on Saturday. A good game after Liverpool went up 1-0 to Newcastle. We had to go away to hostile Leeds to get 3 points. Just for everyone who's here, Adam is here. Ade is our good friend. It's been a while. Ade, how are you, man?
Hey, how you guys doing? I thought I had issues, but I just turned my volume low.
Good. So we have our agenda is very clear. It's to start off with kind of the lineup thoughts, what we thought about the lineup, and I guess the first question is: did we think that this Leeds away game was almost like a good preparation for Madrid away? When you think about the away factor, the hostile fans, the way Leeds play on the press, on the counter press, what do you guys think about this game in particular? Was it good preparation for Madrid or not? I'll start with Ade and then we'll go to Vader and then Adam.
No, I don't think this game prepares us for Madrid. Madrid is not going to play anything like a Leeds. I think Leeds have a lot of young players, and so it's different from what Madrid is going to give you. Leeds had a lot of energy. These guys are running all over the place in the first half. So Madrid's not going to give you that. Madrid's going to give you that from one player in particular. We all know who that is, Vinicius. And the rest of their game is more tactical and using their experience to try to find gaps and ways to exploit your team when they're on the counter. That's what they're going to do. So, but I think this win just gives us a little bit of confidence. I like, Gabby Jesus in this game. I like Cancelo getting back on his feet in this game, except for the one mistake. made in the middle of the park where he almost lost the ball. But I think this game is just a refresher. What's better for our team is that our big gun didn't play. The big dog, I call him Kevin De Bruyne. So that's a good rest for him. Bernardo Silva played very little minutes. These are the guys that are going to play a lot of minutes in the game over there because you need their experience and their tactical brilliance to break down the other team. So that's how I feel like Leeds prepared us for that game.
Vader, anything to add to that? What did you think?
Yeah. I'm just going to add in to your question, and to answer your question, I think the preparation was good in the sense of, and Ade actually talked about it, because of the pace of Leeds, because of how they pressed us, because of the energy that they had. I see it being dialed down versus Real Madrid. So with the players having experienced it, gone through it, know that intensity, to scale it back down and deal with something less reactionary is actually a good thing. I think preparation wise, the guys will be like, okay, this is a slower pace. They'll have more time to actually decide on what they want to do with the ball. And obviously, key players that will play in Champions League didn't play in the EPL, so that'll be different for a few. But the pace of the game, I absolutely loved. I love that the intensity was high as well. So for the team to remain consistent and dialed in, we had that in that match. So with Leeds, man, the only thing that was killing me, and I won't skip ahead. Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
No, carry on. And we'll get
Okay.
to the actual lineup in a minute, but carry on.
Yeah. The one thing that actually kind of killed me from a player standpoint was I wish that more of the guys recognize how the ref is calling the game, or they like whether the ref is swallowing his whistle or the linesman's being slow to raise the flag. I wish our players just recognized that and played either to match it or adjusted how to play, so that they don't they're not flopping or raising their hands like calling for the foul. Like, expect it already and let's play. That's the only thing.
That's a good point that he makes there, Adam, because one of my frustrations during the game was we know this referee, Paul Tierney. We know who he is. We know what he did to us at Anfield when Milner basically cleared up Bernardo and he didn't give a second yellow card. We know what he does. This is what he does. He's the same guy that was at Everton. They didn't give the penalty for Everton when it was a handball for Rodri. Okay. So we know he doesn't use his whistle. But we play into his hand by raising our hands up when there's a foul, when we get counterattacked, so winning the ball back. I think I would hope that at this level, if we can see it, surely these players who are on the field can see it, right?
Yeah.
Adam?
I'm here. But yeah, pretty much Ade and Veta have said pretty much what I was going to say, bang on. Okay. But also, what I've also been surprised, it's a good insight to see if what's his name, Cancelo playing as the right back, say, just in case, say, what's his name, Kyle Walker is unable to, say, be on the team sheet for the Madrid game, just in case. So we don't know yet, but that was a good insight to see Cancelo playing as the right back, and you could see he was doing somewhat of a good job there at right back.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Now that we're kind of segueing into this discussion. So team sheet comes out. Okay. First of all, NBC gets it all wrong. Right? It's funny how NBC, right? I can't blame them because they have to look at 20 clubs, right? But they always mess up the lineup. They just always screw it up. It's just like, oh, what are you doing, man? Don't you watch our games? Don't you watch the champions? But lineup comes out, and very quickly we kind of figured out what this was going to be, right? Cancelo on the right, Ake on the left, Laporte, Diaz, Rodri, Gundo, Foden, Sterling, Jesus, and Grealish. 4-3-3 going forward. How do you guys feel when you saw this lineup? Were you pleased that you didn't see Kevin and Bernardo and Mahrez on the field? Vader and Ade, and come to Ada. How did you feel about this? So just talk.
Man, I was like, okay. There was absolutely no, oh my gosh, this game might be dangerous. I thought that Pep's at the point right now with regards to the players and what he's seeing in training where he's putting you out there because you can deal with the job. Like, if we're going to be nervous and we're going to continue to look at the FA Cup and what happened with Liverpool, okay, but let's look at the errors that happened in that match. Yeah. If we look at the players and we look at what Pep's doing, he trusts the players, he put them on the field. And I think when he put out the squad, I was like, okay, he sees what he obviously has a tactical plan on what he's going to ask the players to do. He's obviously looking at Champions League with regards to who he's resting. And if he trusts these guys, it's going to happen. Now, the lineup, confident. I'm like, okay, I'm not too stressed. Tactics now is where my curiosity was to see what he was going to try and do to punish Leeds. But no, there was no worry, man. There was no worry.
Yeah. I did come into you real quick. Phil centrally. We'll talk about each player right now. Let's start with the front three, first of all. Sterling on the right. What was your impression on him, and what would you rate him in this game? What were the positives you saw from him on that right side? And over 10, how would you rate him?
You know what? I'll give Sterling, because of the problems he creates on offense for the other team, I'll give him a 7. But I think Sterling has fallen from where he used to be, where he used to be a threat on goal. Used to be a legitimate threat on goal, but now I think he sort of looks for his opportunity to score first instead of analyzing the game at that second. Because for a professional at that level, and what he used to do was he'll analyze the game in a matter of seconds and decide the pass is better than me trying to score. Him and Mahrez kind of do the same things. The difference is Mahrez's conversion rate is better than his. But him and Mahrez's decision making is the same thing. They think, how can I score? And then, oh, I can't score. Okay, I'm going to pass now. Aside from, and Kevin De Bruyne is complete opposite. He's thinking, how can I get one of my teammates the ball to score?
Right.
Phil Foden is like Kevin De Bruyne now, where he thinks, I'm sorry, I know I'm going away from what you wanted.
That's fine. Okay, continue on.
Because I have a lot to say. But yeah, Sterling on the right, I'll give him a 7. Grealish, I think Grealish still finding his footing, and he doesn't look for opportunities to score yet. He looks to create something for others, and I think he'll get better. Jesus is just brilliant. Jesus, I mean, if we lose this guy, we're gonna miss him because he's really brilliant on the right, in the middle. He presses the ball. He's just so good. So the front three, I think it was bang on. I just think Sterling just doesn't convert well anymore.
Vader, coming to you, I found myself frustrated with Jack Grealish during the game, and my wife was next to me, and I was screaming at her, poor lady, that why is this guy so slow? Why isn't he pressing? He loses the ball. He's kind of just jogging, slowly. Meanwhile, I look at Sterling or Jesus, and they're pressing high, they're running fast. Why is Grealish just kind of, hopping around the field and just kind of jogging? Did you have frustration, or is it just me?
I share the same frustration with Grealish on offense and defense from an energy standpoint. I think coming to Manchester City, he's like a few seconds slow with his decision making, and I don't know if that's him taking in all the maybe instructions that Pep's been giving to him scanning the field and seeing where his teammates are, seeing how he's being defended. I think there's a lot there, but I give him a blah on offense. On defense, when he loses the ball or our team loses possession, my expectation is I don't care if you got fouled and you lost the ball, didn't get the call. You're busting yourself back to help defend and press because that's how our system's built. So I feel the frustration a lot more on defense. Now on offense, what I like about Grealish is the attention that he draws. And I know it's not paying off right now, but the attention that he draws when he gets that ball, that right back is focused on him. There's a midfielder coming to support, and he also has the attention of that center back. Now, where I'm talking about in terms of decision making, I'm hoping that year 2 gets the ball. I'm challenging you here. This is cut off. I know my teammates here. I'm either laying it off, or what we're all talking about, he's not scoring enough. He gets into the position of the box, and maybe the expectation is I'm going to try to top bins it, put it on the right, and curl it in. Like there's just things that I think he can constantly put pressure on and make the defense have to react. But he's just a little slow right now. But I think he's going to be important to us. He's just not obviously paying off with regards to his price tag. But it's I'm not really like he's got to ride the bench in the EPL. I'm not at that point, especially with the remaining games. I think he can be important to us.
So I think what Vader was saying is that it looks like he's been instructed to hold the ball, to draw out two defenders so there's space created for somebody else to pop in and score. Because that's the only explanation I can see from this. Because even at Villa, he was quicker than what he's doing right now. He was really quick on the ball, passing and moving, running. But with us, he just seems to get the ball recycled.
There's some comments. I just want to, and I'll shout those out real quick. We got Big Morgan in the building. Thanks for tuning in. We've got MC Lovin. What it do? Thanks for tuning in. You see the comments now, Carl?
I'm here. Actually, yeah.
And what I saw Edison, because everything's kind of paired as well. I want to shout you out. Did I miss anyone else? Let me see.
Yeah,
Daniel, thanks for tuning in as well, guys. Thanks for the comments. We're caught up so much in the conversation. It's hard to kind of jump in and out,
I think just every once in a while, let's just kind of touch on some of the comments. But
so at this point here about the Dallas broke his leg yesterday, and this was I blame the referee for this because he did not manage that game properly.
I completely agree, 100%, 100% with you. I think, I wanted to touch on that comment as well. Big Morgan, you're right. I think the referee, I'll give him credit. He wanted a flow of the game, which we accomplished. He wanted, the flow not to be disrupted. But in doing that, he kind of then cautioned a couple of people when they went too hard. And then everybody said, oh, okay, he's not really cautioning people, so we'll take it a step further. That play that he broke his leg, he actually fouled. I forget who it was. He fouled
Grealish.
him.
It was Grealish.
Yeah, he was going really hard at him to get the ball and to try to be aggressive, and he broke his leg in the process. And I just think that's unfortunate. Dallas is a really good player, but that ref really mismanaged that game. He should have cautioned a couple of people. I mean, even people on our team, he should have cautioned them and said, "Hey, we're not having that." I think the game we played against Liverpool was a perfect example of brilliant refereeing. I think the last one where I think it was maybe 2 yellow cards in the game. I'm not talking about the FA game, the one in the league. That's how you manage a game of that magnitude and still have control. But this referee just blew it, and that's unfortunate that the guy broke.
And where I thought there, here's the thing, and we don't see it consistently amongst the refs, right? But there's refs that won't maybe book you, but they're going to pull you aside and they're going to say, that foul again, I'm carding you.
Yeah.
It's like, don't do that again. And it's kind of like, or he's talking to the captain and he's letting the rest of the team know. But when you don't address the player at all, then everyone's free to do it, right? And it doesn't get controlled. Like a ref needs to speak his mind and settle things down, because that could have been prevented.
Yeah.
A ref needs to take control of the game, manage the game in the moments, because the moments in the game, I thought he was poor, and it didn't surprise me. I mean, Paul Tierney is, I don't, he's just poor. He was the same guy at Anfield that didn't give Milner the second yellow card, and he was actually suspended for 2 games after that from the PGMOL. It tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
But let's just drop back to the heart of the team, the midfield. Daniel here says Foden is special. I mean, I was watching some clips of this kid, Ade and Vader. And I know there's a journalist in Spain that said that Pedri for Barcelona is better than Phil Foden. I don't know where these guys, what they think. I know there's an agenda, right? You're Spanish journalists, you want to talk smack, but this kid is special, man. I'm sorry.
He is. He truly is. And I'll just say something, and then maybe Vader can chime in. But that's kind of one of the reasons I want to be on the show today. I think Foden, every time he plays, I see what Pep saw initially when nobody knew this kid, just some 18, 17-year-old that Pep was always talking about blah, 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 he's this. And I used to think, what's wrong with this man? We got all these players that you're talking about, some 17-year-old kid. Phil Foden is the EPL's version of Messi.
Yes.
And no, I didn't stutter. I said that with my full chest.
Yep.
He's the EPL's version of Messi because he's now realizing that I can not only affect the game by scoring goals, I can create. That goal that he created from Gabriel Jesus is pure genius. He looks off. He looks off to the right, knowing the whole time he was going to Gabriel Jesus. Before, watch it again. He looks him off, makes that pass. Inch perfect. Yeah. He's doing what Kevin De Bruyne does, except he can also score. He's faster. we got nothing to worry about. I think this kid, and I know, Pep usually gets caught up every time they ask him something. They'll say, "Oh, what about this academy player? You brought Phil Foden." He cuts them off immediately and he says, "Phil Foden is special. Like, we're not putting him in any category with anybody else. The guy is magic." And I think I hope he's ready for the game on Tuesday, or is it Wednesday? Because we're going to
Wednesday.
need that brilliance from him. We can't just rely on Kevin. Kevin's 30, he's getting there up there, but Phil Foden gives you faith that this team is in safe hands to come.
I think Vader, what was interesting about Foden starting this game, and this is one of the reasons why we kind of want rotation, right? Because we want to see what Pep's going to do with the team. We want to see what his plans are for the future. If you visualize that, right? Was taking Foden and playing him as a right side of the 8, the creator from the 8 side of the right side of the field, and Gundogan was on the other side. And very clearly you could see, not just was he there, but he had this free roll kind of move around the whole field. And that pass that Adi mentions to Jesus, that no-look pass. Remember, it was a build-up from Edison to Cancelo on the right to Phil and then to Jesus. It was probably like 6 seconds from the goalkeeper to the goal. It was just phenomenal. We have some comments here. Pedri's nowhere near Foden. I don't get why they say it. I honestly believe if you give Foden a Barcelona kid, Pedri, and Man City kid, they would say Foden is 100 times better than Pedri. I would tend to concur with that. You just have to look at Foden's trophy cabinet versus Pedri. So I don't know what Katwita says. I don't know about you guys, but yesterday game showed me that we really need to have a good conversation about Gundogan. This is a time to have a conversation. Veta, I saw Gundogan and I thought, oh, this guy is slow, man. What did you think?
Slow. Yeah, I mean, it was a half step off. I'm hearing things like he's got a nagging back issue. Obviously, he hasn't been in rotation consistently, but I think where things are kind of missing out for him right now is, especially within the midfield, it's good. It's requiring a lot of field coverage. It's requiring a lot of movement, and I just think he's slightly off there. I think the pace of the game is just a little faster than he's able to provide. But where I love his quality is actually in the final third, where he's able to have back to goal, have an entry pass come in from Rodri or from one of our fullbacks, and just how he just easily turns and faces the goal. Like his half turn, his ability to then apply pressure and square up. I love of him, but he's not finding space to get into the squad. So you have the form of Bernardo Silva, you have the form of Kevin De Bruyne, you got the form of Foden at times playing in the midfield. It's just not there for him, and he's the shift that he put in to say that he couldn't be a starter for the remaining EPL games. I don't think it's past him that much. But if we, and again, you know me, I don't like this, but if we're thinking of next year, I think he isn't one of the priorities in terms of player retention.
Yeah, this is a good point by Big Morgan. Gundo's slow, but sure saved us in the first few minutes of the game. Yeah, I remember he made a recovery run.
He sprinted his butt off, and I think that might have taxed him for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, probably made that recovery run. We're going to have another moment, another Gerrard moment with Cancelo slipping there. Let's go to your favorite player, Ade. Start from the right, Joao Cancelo. I know you kept an eye on him. I know we've had our debates on Joao Cancelo. And given that Madrid is upcoming on Wednesday, we need to have a conversation about Cancelo on the right. It's weird because he's a right-footed right back, but I think he plays better on the left-hand side. What did you see yesterday, and how do you rate him in terms of what he gave us yesterday in preparation for Wednesday?
You talking to Adam or me?
Ade. Adam, I don't know if Adam's still there. Adam, you still there?
Adam, you still there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, so Adam, you do Rodri. Let Ade do Cancelo. Then you do Rodri. Okay.
Then.
Okay,
Ade.
I'll go then. I'll be quick. Cancelo, man, I always tell you, I love what Cancelo brings going forward. I think Cancelo, you can argue he's the best left and right back in the EPL. I mean, he gives you a lot going forward. I think his decision making sometimes in defense is where he suffers a lot. And if he's going to play on the right against Vinicius, he's going to have to be very sharp mentally, defensively, You don't have to tell him anything going forward. He already knows what to do. It's defensively how you close a guy like that when you lose the ball in the middle of the park. Where are you? What's your positioning? We were blessed with Walker, and we probably won't have him. Walker is the kind of guy he could make the dumbest mistake going forward, and he'll catch up to you getting back. That's why Pep plays him week in week out because no matter what he does going forward, you are not running past him. He'll run. Cancelo has speed, but not that kind of Walker speed. So he has to be smart against Vinicius. You can't do something like what Fernandinho did, where he closed him up too much. And if you make a mistake in trying to get the ball, when the ball goes past you, you're never catching him. So it's just those kind of things that worry me about Cancelo. I never worry about him offensively, but defensively, he gives me like nightmares. But on the left hand side, if we have Zinchenko against, I think it's Ferland Mendy, I think we'll be fine. I don't know who's their
Yeah.
winger on the.
I mean, we'll
right.
come to that. So, I mean, I think
Yeah.
the thing about Cancelo that frustrates me the most is, again, his creation is fantastic, right? It's his recovery runs when he loses the ball defensively. He kind of sticks his leg out, or he'll kind of
Yeah,
up and just kind of walk. I'm
yeah.
like, dude, what are you doing, man?
And he gets lazy sometimes where the ball's over him. He's done this like 3 times where he tries to go like the ball's coming over his head and he's trying to control it backwards. And I'm
Exactly.
like, dude, if
Like
you
a,
miss
like,
that, it's a
yeah,
goal. Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing?
like a
So I
scorpion
don't
kick, right?
like
You're
that.
trying to scorpion kick it with back of
Yeah,
your
I don't like that about
What are
him.
you doing, man?
Defensively, he's not good. He's our version of Alexander Arnold.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair argument. He is
Better version though, going forward, if you ask me. I know Liverpool fans will disagree, but defensively, him and Arnold, they make some boneheaded mistakes.
I would like to see. I hope the instruction for Cancelo on Wednesday is just make sure it's you between um, goal. You're in between the goal and Vinicius. That's it. You don't have to try. You don't have to try to take stabs at trying to knocking the ball away. Rather let him make the move. If you have to jockey, do that. But do not let yourself get beat. Would be
Correct.
in the instruction,
right.
Correct.
because he's just. We can't lie. Vinicius is like he's a nasty player. He's a
Yeah.
great young talent,
Yeah.
and he's got moves. So
He's got that speed. That speed is blessed. Is a
Yeah.
blessing.
yeah, he's tricky and he's got speed, so it's dangerous.
MC Lovett says Cancelo is underrated defensively. Though his real weakness is his decision making. He's too rash, like at Anfield for the Salah goal. Yeah, that's what we talk about: sticking his leg out, trying to stop
Mhm.
Salah. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
Mhm.
Then I've got a question for you guys. Then, if that's the case, then say if that's what you think, yeah, say what would you do? Like, say like an example. Say would you play like Sterling? Because Sterling's in a sense he's also good with his recovery. Or if not Sterling, for me the better option is say Gabriel Jesus through the
Correct.
right. You play
Correct.
Gabriel Jesus on the right,
Correct.
and then in a sense you tell Gabriel Jesus to assist Cancelo, which was in a sense will basically nullify the the fault or like the less ability of Cancelo defensively in a sense if you have say Gabriel Jesus on that side where
Yeah.
say he's there to help him in case he say messes up or something.
Yeah.
Or you could pick or John Stones if he's fit.
We talked about this in the first leg preview where we said it was an argument, debate between all of us right around. Okay, how do we make sure that we protect Stones or Egan O'Reilly if he's there? And what we talked about was when we looked at the Madrid game 2 years ago in Madrid, was Mendy on the left-hand side. And Mendy was really poor at that time because he just kept running forward and leaving the fullback. And so Pep put Jesus as a left side midfielder to cover for Mendy. So he's always covering for him. Then when Jesus had the ball, he would not go forward to try to score a goal. And he did get a goal from that cross that Kevin gave him. But maybe that's what we do again in the second leg. And we'll talk about that on Monday about what we have to do for the second leg, because after we have the press conference, we'll know whether Kyle's going to be available, who's going to be available. Not. We'll see who travels. We'll know who travels or not. But it is an option. I know, Adam, you want to talk about Rodri. Was he, again, another 7 over 10 performance, just kind of even keel, nothing too stressful, just doing his job? Adam?
He basically just kept it simple, to be honest with you. It's like the normal Rodri where he just kept it simple and just did his job that he was supposed to do in a sense.
I actually didn't like Rodri in the first half. I know he gave us the goal, okay, but I thought that he allowed himself to get shadowed too much, because I'm watching and I'm seeing like you're not you're not doing enough to free up to actually allow yourself to be an option with regards to like having the pass. And I'm talking about when the ball gets to our defenders. I felt like he allowed himself to get shadowed and not used to channel the ball and transition. But I also at the same time
Mm,
gave him a pass because I'm like, okay, if you're out there and you're being a little energy conservative
mm,
because you have your eye on the next match, because obviously we know Fernandinho is not playing in that position,
mm.
then I get it. But I thought, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, at the end of the match with how he performed, I think how you guys are rating him is bang on. But that first half was a little,
Do you think it's a fact of having Gundogan next to him, and Gundogan was not? Because when we build out, sometimes we build out with a 3 and a 2, and then the 2 is Rodri and Gundogan, or
yeah.
Rodri and Bernardo, right? When Bernardo
No,
plays,
you're bang on. Yeah, you're bang on. I think with Gundo back there, and normally it's Silva, who's we know coming, going,
right?
clearing space, and Gundo again. We talked about it a little earlier on the show. He just was a half step a little off, and I think that combination obviously didn't complement Rodri for the day. But we know Rodri with the two Power Rangers that are
Yeah.
going to be controlling everything on the field on Wednesday. He's going to look a lot better.
Let's talk about the centre backs, Ade, Vera, and Adam. Diaz seems to be getting fitter and better and better. And then Laporte just put in a Warriors performance yesterday. What do you guys think about their performances yesterday against that high press, high energy Leeds side?
I think they were good. I mean, I think they were really good. Like Vader was talking about in the first half, they gave me heartache because they were making some decisions in the back where I was just like, "Yeah, guys, come on, man." But I understand it's the energy that lead. You know, you can't always look at what you guys are not doing. Sometimes it's what the opponent is doing, and the opponent has a lot of energy. So they were rushing at them, making them make rash decisions. So it's understandable that in the beginning of the game, you know, they had that one chance, you know, and he slipped, and you know, God willingly, we caught up with him. But, but you know, so they kind of made me nervous. But in the second half, they settled down. So I like the pairing. I think Diaz is getting his footing back, and him and Laporta. You know, it's a blessing that you know Stones goes. We're just blessed in the back where Stones goes away. You got Laporta and Diaz, and they're still clicking like they used
Yeah.
to. So I think we're fine. I just want to just comment on a couple of questions. Somebody says if Stone's fit, should we pay him at right back and switch Cancelo? Yeah, Katuta, I agree with that. I think if Stones is healthy, we'll play him on the right, and Cancelo can be on the left like he usually is. And
Yeah.
I think somebody mentioned the FA game. I think we just had a weekend team in the FA
Yeah,
game.
let me find it.
We're
I saw
never
it. Yeah,
we're never gonna win that FA game. When I saw the lineup, I knew we were gonna
yeah,
lose.
it was yeah.
But back to what we're talking about in the back. I was confident with what we did in the back. I think if they just repeat that performance, um, for our next game, I think we'll be fine. We don't know what the lineup is going to be. It'll be a miracle if Walker's going to play, and even if he is going to play, he won't start. So we just got to wait to see the lineup. But I think our defense is solid. I think Rodri makes some mistakes sometimes. I think when the game starts, and then he kind of, gets into the game as the game progresses, and he's better. So we need everybody sharp in the beginning of the game on
Absolutely.
Wednesday. Not wait till the second half. It's a Champions League semifinal. You got to be ready.
I got a question for you guys before we move on.
Yeah.
What would you play? It's like, say, like I'm going to give you an example, and which player would you play in these positions? It's a 4-4-2-3-1 formation, yeah. And say you have what's his name, Rodri and Bernardo Silva as the holding midfielders, and who would you have in front of those, or in front of those two, or would you not play that formation?
If we're going to play 4-2-3-1, it has to be Kevin in number 10 position. It has to be Kevin. There's nobody else. Kevin or Foden or Phil, those two. There's nobody else in our team that can play number 10 like those two can. And the vision. The number.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's funny because that's a good question, Adam. Because when we play Arsenal, most of the time we play a 4-2-3-1, and Kevin just has this free roll where it's just around the whole field, passing, pinging balls around the whole place. It's Kevin or Foden.
Yeah, and even with that formation, it's not so rigid either. Like you'll see instances like Carl was just mentioning, KDB will be free roaming, but he could actually free roam and come deep and Silva is actually going to run into the channel, and KDB spreading the ball around. So if it's using that formation that you talked about, Adam, yeah, I think KDB would be up top there.
It's funny. It's a good question, Adam, because a lot of people think about our team as 4-3-3, Klopp 4-3-3, and we know Klopp plays 4-3-3, but truly what they really play is 2-3-5 against the lesser teams. Against us, they play 4-3-3 because that's what they have to do. They press with the 3, midfield 3, and the back 4. But against like Watford, they actually do a 2, 3, and then they have 5 with Alexander-Arnold and Robertson as high fullbacks joining the front 3, right? With us, it's a little different. We actually play more of a what I call a 3-2-2-3, the average position. So Cancelo tucks in or Walker tucks in with Rodri. Then you have the front 2 guys, De Bruyne and maybe Bernardo. Then the front 3. So we attack with a 5, defend with a 5. So in the old days, 4-4-2, 4-2-3, but now it's just positional flexibility all across,
nice.
all across the field. I mean, I was worried about Laporte, and I thought maybe he'll be concussed. And if he was concussed, he's out for Madrid, but he's not. Thank God for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
I think even with some of the challenges that people have maybe had with his play, and sometimes sporadically being off, what he showed in that match against Leeds, because that Leeds match was rough. It was a battle, and he. Obviously, we saw what he did. He put his head in there for some of those headers. He was constantly fighting out there, and even some of the instances where they did have some chances, not necessarily going on net, but they had some chances. He was there to kind of deflect or not allow some crosses to go through. So he put in a really good shift.
Ade and Adam, question for you: which academy players do you think guys will make it break into the first team next season? Which ones?
Palmer. It used to be Edoze for me. But then that injury just set him back. Edoze, I mean, when that first game we saw him and I think when the season started, I was like, wow, this kid reminds me of Sane. And then that injury hit him, and then never heard anything from him again. But Palmer just took over from where he left off and just flew out the gates. I used to hope it was Liam, but injuries have set him back so much that, it's just so for me, I think, presently it will be Palmer, but there are other guys there are other guys coming up behind him that are going to be good as well, but Palmer I think will break in.
Adam, the funny thing is that the Premier League, the under-23s won their league again this year, back to back. Under 18s won their game 13-0 against Newcastle, back to back.
Wow.
There are two sides of this coin, right? There's a side of the coin that says, okay, how many of them will make the first team squad? And they all can't make the first team squad. So the other side now is that we can now sell them, which means we have more revenue to pay the wages of Haaland or Alvarez and co. Which, apart from Palmer, who else do you see making it, Adam, into the first team squad?
I see James McAtee as well for some reason. I see him as well. He's also a talented kid. I also see him maybe also getting a chance or even a run in the first team.
Yeah, Charlie says against Leeds we played a 4-2-3-1. I can see that actually. I could see that. I mean, we did. I think we started off with a 4-2 with 2 holding, and then we changed it. I could see that. Oh, he says 4-2-1-3. Okay, so Charlie, who was it one in front of behind the 3? Was it Phil or was it Jack? Let us know in the comments. McLovin says McAtee. Daniel says McAtee. McLovin says Riyad Palmer. Katuta says, hopefully we see more of Palmer, McAtee, Delap next season. Think about Delap as this, Veda, is if Erling comes and we have Alvarez, how does Delap stay? He's not going to get game time.
That's the thing. That's the thing that's going to hurt these guys is with the quality that we're going to have up front. I think it's going to be hard for them to really get into the first team just because we're going to have so much quality up there. Now, if there is going to be an exodus with regards to some of the players, then that might suit them better. But if we look at it as of right now, it's hard for them to make it. I'd want to throw in the name of I think Raleigh actually has a chance of making it in just because we'd have to look very closely to see who we actually acquire in the summer transfer. But if we don't get a right back, right? If the plan is we're going to alternate at times between Cancelo and Walker on that right hand side. I think one of the academy guys might come up.
Yeah, because I mean, from a business perspective, right? The club is going to have to make a decision that day. They're going to because I mean, if the under-20s are blowing teams and winning back to back, they're going to age out. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the guys who are behind them, the under-18s, are winning games 13-0. At some point, the club's going to have to make a decision. They can't keep them in the academy. Some will make the first team squad, but you're going to have to sell them or loan them out to other clubs, right?
I think we have one of those situations where it's a blessing and a curse. We have this really good EDS team, and in a utopian world, they would all come into the first team. But the problem is we have such brilliant players in the first team already. I love Makiti. I love Makiti almost as much as I like Palmer, but Makiti isn't getting in the team right now. The space that where he will play is already occupied by a lot of players. We have Bernardo, we have Kevin, we have Foden, we have Grealish. Where is he gonna go? And that's why even when Pep has him on the bench, when he comes in the game, there's nowhere to really put him until maybe you have like 5 minutes left because there are other brilliant players ahead of him. I mean, it's unfortunate, and I know people always complain like you got to give these guys time. Who do you take off? I mean, it's hard. Palmer's path is easier because it's Riyad Mahrez, and Palmer can kind of play two positions. He can come inside, he can play on the wing. So a player like that, he's blessed because there's an opportunity for him to make it to the first team and stay.
Right.
So with the defenders we have, I think in that regard, we need to start utilizing those players more, especially in the left back and maybe not the right. When Walker's healthy, nobody replaces him. But we need to start trying out some of these guys to see when there's an injury how they fit in at left back, so we don't have the situation we have now where we're struggling to fill in who plays in left and right back. But like you said, I think you're right. Last point. I think you're right. I think some of these guys are going to have to go on loan or be sold to, fund other things. And it's unfortunate because these are really good young players that deserve first team play.
Absolutely. I mean, don't forget, guys, that, the academy is meant to find the diamonds in the rough that we can use in the first team, but the academy is also help us generate revenue. The revenue that we generate is what allows us to fund wages like Kevin De Bruyne and hopefully Erling Haaland and all these guys. That's how we kind of make the money. I mean, the reason why City were number one in England last year was not just because of broadcast revenue. We had no match day revenue, was because of player sales, right? All those guys, Lucas Demecha and all those guys that went out on sale brought us revenue to be able to, increase our income. So it's a well-run business. If we talk about left backs, Brand is another one I did that we've seen play once. He seems to be a good guy. Actually, given an assist in the game he played. We should give these guys a chance. Daniel says, did you guys see the hat trick from Alvarez? His third goal, wow, outside the box, near post, top corner. This guy's going to be, he's good. I mean, Adi and I, whenever we can, we try to watch him on here in the US. He's on Argentina TV, and he went through a goal drought, but he's back and he can play all sides of the field. Charlie says, "That's comment about the academy, mate. I'm looking for your comments about the academy."
I saw it. Charlie, you're right. I think if we lose Romeo, that's a great loss. But it's just hard right now trying to fit him in the team, and it's tough, man. That's a managerial issue. It's not really a Pep issue, and somehow they're gonna have to try to solve some of these players leaving, without getting time, and it's tough. It's tough.
Charlie, I know we've gone into the player trans, but the thing about Romeo Lavia is he's a good kid, right? But is it good enough to deputize for Rodri in a big game, against, let's say, Chelsea? Let's say we have, Champions League, we have Chelsea, Liverpool, Chelsea in a week, crazy week like we had this year, right? We had Liverpool twice, we had Atletico twice. Can Lavia step up into the holding midfielder against Atletico Madrid? That's the question. I don't think he's there yet.
No, I don't think he is. But the funny thing with what's happening with the league, right, is that we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but we have to start the league on fire, right? We have to be dialed in. So obviously our key 11 are going to have to start.
Yeah.
And then when you look at that and you're obviously trying to keep pace with the other rival clubs, when do you choose to maybe put in the new young star to cut their teeth, right? And I think if it's not. We have to replace Fernandinho. So if we go out and we get obviously a quality player outside of the club, but to be able to shadow and have the chance to play on those, no disrespect to who may come up into the EPL next year, but maybe that's where these guys play.
Yeah.
Maybe those are the chances. It's a great problem to have. The fact that we have
Yeah.
such young talent that's so good and need to get into the first team, and like other clubs that have had strong academies that cities actually put a lot of investment in, hire the right smart people.
Yeah.
These players need to be able to sharpen their weaponry, right? So going out on loan is realistically the next phase of this.
I agree with Adam Vader 100%. I'm just going to add to it with some of the comments. I'll piggyback on that. Centurion, I think you're right. They do need to go on loan to because like Charlie's saying, the academy is also for revenue. A lot of people think every academy player comes into the first team. That's not realistic and it's not possible. So Charlie, Centurion, you guys are right on that. And
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think it was bang on.
And I was going to say, even with regards to the teams that we loan them to, right? So going to Brighton is actually good in terms of like coaching, manager mentality, and the development that might come out of the team. I think if they remain strategic with where they go, it's going to be a good. We're going to let you get nice, see if you can come back and make it back over here. But at least what you're developing is going to be consistent with our style.
Absolutely.
On that, Veta, wouldn't you mind them being sent to say Crystal Palace, say under Patrick Vieira, whom was a previous manager? Because for me, that would also be a good option as well.
Yeah,
That's a
So
I
great
agree with
shout.
you've
you
got a
1,000%.
you've got a
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
you've got a person that you've previously technically worked under, yeah, and that knows in a sense that knows about City and everything, yeah, and the philosophy.
hmm
So in a sense, that's for me, that's a perfect
Yeah, that's smart.
match
That's
in
actually,
heaven.
Yeah.
that's real smart.
Yeah. So we're gonna diverge off into a discussion around, and we'll talk more about transfers once season's ended. But I do want to talk about two players from the game yesterday. Nathan Ake, man, I'm falling in love with this guy, man. I'm telling you, every game he plays,
I'm not falling in love with his his injury proneness though.
but his performance at it when he's out on the field. I mean,
His performance is brilliant. I'm just kidding. His performance is brilliant.
is he more? Question for you guys, right? Is he, and guys on the panel, in Radio Land out on YouTube, let us know what you think. Is he more defensively solid than Zinchenko at left back, or even
Oh,
Cancelo left back?
Oh, without a
Yes.
doubt.
Yeah.
Without a
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Without a doubt. That's not even a question.
So if Madrid Wednesday, we know we have that 1-goal lead. We know we don't want to defeat. We don't go to attack. Would he start over Zinchenko?
I hope so. That's
what
my
I was
lineup.
hoping to, sir. I'm on,
That's my lineup. Are you kidding? I hope he
I'm
starts.
on the
If he's
same
healthy,
page as Ade.
he starts. Come on.
Yeah.
Me and
Give
Ade
him-
are on the same page.
We
Ake has
definitely
to
are,
start
Adam. We
against
definitely
Madrid.
are.
Same page. Well,
Definitely
so
are.
when I watched him at the Etihad for the Athletic game, I remember I had full view of I could see him on that left side, and the way guy's quick, man, but he's deceptively quick.
Yeah.
Every time the Griezmann tried to run, he would cover him quickly. Every time João Felix tried to he would cover him. He's really, really quick,
Yeah.
surprisingly quick,
Yeah.
and he's good in the box. Gets
Yes.
goals from the box.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
box.
Yep.
He gives
And-
the
I agree,
ball.
agree with that.
And I like
Obviously,
how
Ake
he
is
is
underrated.
aerially as well.
Do you guys think he's more comfortable now in the City skin, that he now begins to feel like he's a part of the squad? And because I think it's something when a player comes from like Bournemouth and they relegate to come to like a City or a Liverpool, there was always that, oh man, look at these guys, like starstruck.
Yeah.
I think Grealish has some of that still. He's
Yep.
still starstruck with, oh, it's De Bruyne, it's wow, it's Sterling, wow, this boy. I think once they settle in and say, I'm like, this guy's now. You breathe, I breathe. We run, I run. I kick the ball. Let me show my skills. Phil doesn't have that problem.
Mhm.
Phil's mind. Phil already believes he's world class. Pep's already told him. So Nathan seems to be growing in that confidence, and I really
Yeah, he
enjoy
definitely is. He
Yeah.
definitely is. I think Nathan is solid.
I think what also was needed for him was to be in the moment and step to the occasion, right? Like, unfortunately, in the few starts that he had before, he was being heavily criticized because he's had some mess-ups. He didn't look as comfortable as what we're accustomed to.
Mhm.
But he's been here, he's battled on, he's shown that He's not backing down from any fight with regards to what happens on the field, and yeah, he's at an extreme level of confidence right now, and I think he's going to be needed in especially on that left hand side. Definitely, if it's choosing how do we manage the game, he's the better option.
Right.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
don't.
people.
Go ahead, Daddy.
I think people forget that coming into City is very difficult. It's very, very difficult, and that's why first year players sometimes struggle with our team.
Yeah.
Exception of Kevin De Bruyne and maybe Phil
Yeah.
Foden, but
Yeah.
a lot of players struggle. Riyad Mahrez, Bernardo Silva,
Yeah.
Jesus, Leroy Sané, all of them struggle with adapting to Pep, and it's because Pep demand that you learn different things. You
Yep.
can't learn one thing. When you come into City team and you think, oh, I'll just be on the wing and I'll be fine. They'll say, okay, yeah, I want you to play in the middle now. And then you're like, wait, what? What do you mean? I'm a winger. And a lot of people like, oh, you come in and you're a center back, and he's like, yeah, I want you to play left back today. Play left back in a high pressure game.
High
And you're
pressure.
like, what in the world are you doing? This is against Liverpool.
Yeah.
So I think that people forget that. It's very tough. And that's why I remember we used to have this conversation about Sterling. We had it about Riyad Mahrez, and I used to tell you like you gotta be patient. I think Grealish will come of age. I'm with Beta on this. I know I'm going back to something he made earlier, but
Yeah.
I just want to make that point clear. Like we gotta cut these guys some slack. It's very tough learning Pep. It's very.
There's a guy that's out on loan at one of our sister clubs, Kabori. Apparently, this kid is really good. He's quick.
Oh, really?
MC11, talk more about him if you can. Just some more chats about him.
Okay.
He was
I'll
an
check him
African
out.
player. He was a Afghan young player of the season during the Nations Cup. He's quick. He's
Come.
really amazing.
This man, if you see him running, when I watched the Africa Cup of Nations, you think he was getting ready for the Olympics or something.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
The kid
I love
is
it.
quick.
I love
I
it.
tell you.
And guys, this is another reason why we have this CFG, right? We have all these clubs around the whole world, right? There's a guy in New York City called Valentin, I think Tatianos or whatever his name is, right? Tati, whatever his name is. Kid, this guy's a baller, right? You can always loan these guys from all these sister clubs into the club if you need them. Like
Right.
Frank Lampard to New York City FC. You can always do that. You have the power of the group as well.
Carl,
So
on that topic about the CFG, allegedly we're buying an Italian team in Serie C or something for 80% of that club. I think it begins with P, Pau something.
Oh wow.
Yeah, these
Good
guys
business.
know what they're doing, man. Let's kind of wrap up the comments real quick. Let's see. Abdul Jallo, how are you, buddy? Zini will start because of the build-up from the back. He could start from the build-up from the back. I just think that in that game away, if you want solid left back, you don't want any wahala. Actually, to me, maybe the guy who we play, but we'll see what Pep does. Either which way, Zini has proved himself against PSG in the Champions League, so I'm not overly worried. He has his mind focused. He's a warrior. Another guy who he paid 20K a week and fights like it's 100K. I mean, what can you say about that guy? Question for you. That last question. Edison's save, that save that he made. Anybody see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone want to talk about Eddie making that save? I mean, that's unusual.
The one he made with his leg?
You said that's unusual.
That's not unusual. The man is good. It's just he's always bored. he's always bored because they don't do anything. So it's like, if we're not gonna do anything, I'm gonna come to the middle of the field, and Pep has to say, "Hey, go back to the goalkeeper position."
Yeah,
but he's bored. He's a really goalkeeper. I wish. You know what? I want to wish he gets tested more, but then I don't want that.
Stop it.
You know, I know, Vader. I'm sorry. I don't want that. I don't want them to test him to find out if he's a good goalkeeper. Let them keep playing defensive, and we keep attacking. And on the counter, every once in a while, we can watch him make a good save. So I'm sorry, Vader. I didn't mean to say that.
What I enjoy, the test that I enjoy with that he gets tested is when you force him into a build out, the way he kind of moves the ball around the back five or the back three or the back four. And he's just cool, just pings the ball. And when he pings the ball long, the guy has a world record for the furthest kick ball. He has a world record by himself. So
Guinness Book World Records.
The
thing I like about Ederson's style is, especially, I don't know if you guys noticed, he doesn't have a big windup for his kick. He's a tall man to begin with, and he kind of just places it. He doesn't really give it a big kick. So I love the coolness with how he plays, but I'm in agreement. I see some of the comments in the chat. When it is a 1v1, there is the okay, like what's happening here? And but I think it's consistent with most keepers in a 1v1 situation. But I think where he's a little frantic with what he does, I do like that his decision making is like bang on, right? If someone's clearing in on him, he's usually quick to go out there. We've seen a lot of the balls that go over top, and we're like, oh, this is kind of weird, and the camera angle doesn't even quite get it right, and then we see it, and he's right there, heading it out or kicking it out. So, man,
I think to your point, Vader, he makes a decision, he does it. He doesn't kind of he's not indecisive. Like,
yeah,
I go,
and I
should I
accept
stay?
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He goes and goes, which I like because okay, you went and you made a decision. Fine, it happened. It's a penalty or they scored. Fine, good. But
Yeah,
we have to think about how many times has his build-up play helped us to score a goal versus 1v1s, right? There's a reason why we're champions. Not because I can get. If Stefan was in goal, we may not have so many championships versus what we have with Ederson.
Yeah.
Charlie has a question here. Just to wrap up, guys. Just to wrap up real quick. So overall, the game, I mean, I felt good with the game. I felt good with the 4-0 performance. I felt it tested them, prepared them for Wednesday. I like the fact that we actually have closed the gap in the goal difference now with Liverpool. It's down to 1 goal. And I think that we'll probably overtake them going to the end of the season if we score more goals against Newcastle, against Villa, against Wolves. There's no more Adama, so that's good. And against West Ham. Okay. So lots of guys to run. So any last words before Madrid game is going to be preview is going to be tomorrow. Monday. We're going to send it out. Myself, Patrick, and whoever else is available. I think it's going to be past 5 p.m. Eastern time. You're available.
Okay, I'll try to be available.
Yeah, everybody in the chat, don't miss it. Don't miss it.
Okay, it's going to be good. We'll have good discussion about what we think is going to happen in that game. Any last words from Adam, Fader, Ade?
Just real quick, touch on the question. Yeah, everybody's against us. They want Liverpool. Yeah, Liverpool is a storied franchise, so everybody loves them. We're not mad at that, but it's
you know the funny thing about that, Ade? The funny thing is, I wonder how the narrative is going to change if City win the Premier League and the Champions League and Chelsea win the FA Cup.
I wanted to say that exact thing, but we don't have time. I wanted to say that exact thing. Then I'll say it. Vader, give us 2 minutes. If with their brilliance they've played all things, and the loving that the whole media has given them, they end up winning just the Carabao Cup. How does the narrative change?
How does it change?
How do you say this Liverpool was so great if they only won a Carabao Cup and we won Champions League and the league? It would be funny, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
That's what happens. Okay, Vader, I know you have to go, man. So you can wrap up.
Yeah, I wanna say always whenever I'm able to jump on the panel and talk with you guys, I'm there for it. I love the conversation. I think that the performance from the team against Leeds, it's business as usual. I was expecting a 2-0. I wanted another clean sheet for Ederson. They doubled that. I'm happy for it. And then, like you guys said earlier, we now have to look at Champions League. So I'm going to do my best to be able to jump on the show with you guys and talk about that tomorrow. But thanks for having me on. And
absolutely, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, and one last point. That conversation with regards to media bias, like who gets more attention, who's being propped up more. I had a Twitter exchange just today with a rival Liverpool fan. And the one thing is, if you want to ignore that there's a bias, you can choose to do that. But let's not ignore economics or the media business. We can't argue that Liverpool is the larger team. I don't think that we can argue that Liverpool has more fans. So if the media is trying to get more clicks, draw more attention, sell more papers, tune into their radio stations, they're going to cater to the larger audience.
Correct.
So if you want to ignore logic, you can choose to. But the reason for the bias is because it's a larger audience and they're catering to it.
Correct.
So we're never going to be the media darlings. And I was just throwing that out there.
No, that's 100% right. And I know another real quick, but even Pep mentioned the same thing in the last interview he had.
He did.
Yeah, he does, because you can't ignore it. They're a bigger team. They have the history. They have all this stuff. They have more fans. Yes, But when you talk about who's been dominant in the EPL the last several years, there's only one team. It's not changing because you want this other team to win. Yes, but it's City.
Yeah.
It's City, the best team. They've been the best team for a long time.
Yeah.
Yes, you had that little spurt from Liverpool, but it's City, and they can ignore it all they want. The bias is there; will always be there.
And we need to remain confident to know that the
Yeah.
narrative, the media narrative, is to cater to them. Not that it's
Correct.
accurate, but it's to cater
Correct.
to them. We
And
know
that's why I don't get worried about it. I'm just
exactly.
like, oh, okay, whatever. Like
Yo,
whatever.
guys, thanks again, man. I'll catch
Thanks,
you
man.
guys.
Adam, anything else? See you
Brilliant.
later.
Peace.
I was gonna say something, but I would
Say it,
I'll
say it,
DM.
say it, say it.
Say it. I'll stick around for it.
It's regarding Haaland. Basically, Damasio, the Italian journalist, said that the Haaland to City is imminent. That everything is basically almost done, basically imminent. So
We don't talk
maybe
about Holland. Don't jinx it, Adam. Don't jinx it. Just leave it alone. When it happens, we'll let them know.
that's why I wanted to keep my mouth quiet. But you guys, you,
But we won't, I mean, to be fair, anyone who wants to learn about the Haaland deal, go back to our show last October, the case for Erling Haaland, everything you want to know about it, including how much money was going to be spent, what his salary is going to be, the reasons for him coming. Watch that show. It's all there. There's nothing that they're talking about now that we haven't talked about 6 months ago. It's all there in
Pitch
detail.
points, they're in the know. Trust me.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, take care. Tomorrow,
okay.
UCL preview. Watch out for the link. Bye.
We'll do.
Keep safe. Take care.